Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome at USA Global TV and Radio Do the Earth Show. Hello, my dear friend MARCIN. Hello.
Hi, Roland. Nice to be here again.
Yeah, thanks for joining, and I'm very excited about this topic today. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who already know the show, the Earth Show is a show kind of educating, but it's more inspiring. No, it's not finger pointing. And we always talk about what we can do on a daily basis. So that's the topic today, also what we can do, and especially what we can do to grow our own food. So we want to give you, my dear friend MARCIN, my colleague, and myself, we want to give you some examples how you can do it. For example, in your own garden, if you live in the countryside or out of a village and you have your own garden, your own yard, or how you can grow it, for example, when you have a balcony or a terrace, or even how you can grow with the newest technology inside in your apartment, for example. Yeah. Or I will give you some other example when you have a restaurant or a company or a kindergarten or a school, how you can do this. We also show you how you start from scratch with the seedings. MARCIN will explain you, and also with your leftovers. And what does growing food have to do with environment, respecting Mother Earth? It has a lot to do, because when you really choose your food very consciously, and even better when you grow your own food, you can do a large impact on the environment. That's really important. That's what we found. Food has an amazing impact on your carbon footprint. What do you think before you start, MARCIN, about growing your own food and carbon imprint?
Yeah, growing food actually consumes a lot of energy worldwide, and it's like one of the things that we cannot limit, right? Because we need those resources. But today we will try to see what exactly you can grow at home and how to do it, even if you are not professional gardeners. So I'm not a professional gardener. I don't know. Are you, Roland?
Well, I'm not really have a green finger. I love to grow stuff. I did it in the past. I love it, absolutely. Yes, but I'm not a specialist.
Yeah, exactly.
But
So
this is growing food for dummies.
yeah, so that's important to know where goes what, right? And to keep just those green parts up. So I just hope that today we will, let's say, just tackle the topic and show you guys, hopefully, that it is not a very complicated mission and everybody can do it. And you can do it no matter if you live in the countryside and you have your own garden, your own plot, or if you are living just in the very small flat. It is also possible. So we will try just to bring this topic close to you.
Absolutely. And as MARCIN said, we are both not professional gardeners or farmers, but we have both our jobs as coach and consultant and so on. But we love to garden and we love to grow own food because we know of the health benefits. So let's get started. Let's bring up a presentation. And yeah, let's start, MARCIN.
Yeah, thanks, Roland. So when we think about growing your own food, the first thought that may come out is actually that it is not worthy, right? Because we eat a lot. If you think on how much groceries you brought home only last 2 weeks. It looks like enormous amount of food that needs to be grown. So maybe if you think the first limit to thinking on that is that maybe it is not like costly wise or resource wise very wise. So the thing is that growing our own vegetables is possible to almost anyone, but the point is to choose what kind of vegetables, what kind of plants you can grow, given with your resources, and what is actually a good idea and what is not so much. So that's why we focus today on how to grow own food. But maybe, Roland, before that, what are the reasons that you started to grow your food? Because I know you have a past here as well.
Well, I started growing my own food because, for me, nutrition in general is very, very important for my well-being. Meaning, nutrition, meaning real fresh food, and the best way is to grow it uh, by your own in your garden or in your backyard, or I did it on different locations depending where my home was. That was the reason for starting my own stuff, and also it was fun. It was a kind of meditation, being out in nature, meaning in the garden, on the terrace, being out in fresh air, digging in the air, digging in the in the soil, and also it was fun for me to watch the stuff grow. And then sometimes I failed. Okay, you have to try it again as a beginner. But it was really fun to see how it's growing and to see actually, in the common sense, to see the fruits of your work. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, quite literally. You can see your own fruits, yeah, and veggies. Thank you, Roland. So you mentioned that you want just to be conscious about what you eat, and the quality of the food that you are eating is important to you. And that is one of the reasons that many people try to just their own gardens, mini gardens at home, because you know that depending on what kind of a source of vegetables you choose, or for example, what kind of shop you shop in, or whether or not you have this access to a local farming network, then the quality of vegetables that we can buy varies. Right, so some of them labeled as organic can be quite good, and the other ones also labeled as organic could be not so tasty, because it is depending on what kind of fertilizers were used and what kind of a processes this vegetable goes through before it lands on your plate. So by growing your own stuff, actually what we have is this absolute certainty what is the source material. So what kind of soil you are using, how you just prevent the insects from eating it, whether you are using some chemical stuff or not, and also what kind of fertilizers you will use, whether you choose to go to, again, chemical things, or you will just use some natural stuff that nature is giving to us. So by just taking this process in your hands, you have the full control over the process, but not on the outcome. So that is a tricky part here, because Roland, you said that it is okay to try, and well, even if something bad happens, what is the possible risk here?
Yeah, I had years, I had, for example, with the tomatoes, I always was growing different kind of tomatoes on the island when I've been living there. Some years I had tons of tomatoes, some years almost nothing. I don't know, it's different circumstances. But what I was also want to emphasize, Marcin, is when you grow your own food, the advantage also is that you decide when you harvest the stuff. Because even when you buy organic fruits and vegetables, the farmer has to harvest them much earlier, not on the highest mature point, because they have to transport it and store it. And when you harvest them on the harvest point, like my grandma did in the garden, for example, the strawberries, they look like strawberries. They're really dark red. They're smelling, and they're much more tasty. So that's another advantage. You decide when you harvest.
Yeah, and also it is a risk and also advantage because you can just pick the fruits when they are ready and just right in time, right? And yeah, the thing can go wrong. So, for example, you can end up with very little of harvest, but at least you've tried and you've learned something new. So. Everything that we will be talking about today is more about growing some additional source of organic food for yourself rather than just going fully autonomous with that, right?
Absolutely.
Mhm. So we already know why to grow food. Well, I can share my perspective as well because I grew up in the farm. So from the beginning, for me, the obvious source of veggies was our garden. And only in late years, I learned that you can buy some things like that from the store. So maybe it is easier for me to say and also to understand the need of growing your own stuff, but I believe that everyone can learn to do it. And as you said, Roland, it's just fun. And if you need just one additional reason for just gardening as a whole, there is a very interesting study that the smell of healthy soil acts soothing on our nervous system. So there is some chemical in this smell of fresh soil that just brings us to the inner peace and balance. So the next time you will be stressed out, Roland, just dig some some dirt and smell it. Yeah, smell it because it smells
Absolutely.
nice. So,
Absolutely.
we already know why to do it, so let's see how to do it. And the first part of our discussion, let's say, will be for people who, like me, are living in the countryside, or at least you have a piece of land that you can plant some plants there. So, for you folks from the cities, we will come to your topic very soon, but first, let's talk about the easier way. So, if you already have some land, that you can use for a garden. Easy peasy, you can just grow whatever you like, whatever will grow in your climate. So here on the slide, you can see some seedlings that I'm starting this year for my greenhouse. And it is also a nice story about source of material that you can use. So there are plenty of sources for seeds. So you can buy them from specialized stores, and you can buy them online, and you can just swap them with your friends. For me, the method shared by my mom was that actually she used the same old method that any human beings used before in the history, just developing new kinds of veggies. So basically, you can choose the very nice looking, nice smelling, and good tasting fruit from any plant that you're just buying out in the store, and then you can use seeds directly from this fruit. And thanks to that, you have a guarantee that probably the offspring will have a similar traits as this one that you just picked up. And here in this little itty bitty greenhouse thingy, you can see some seedlings from tomatoes, from a tomato that my wife picked up in the just regular wholesale store, but the tomato was so tasty and was so good that we just decided to use seeds of that. And here you can see already the first plants sprouting out. And when you were planting your herbs and your veggies, Roland, where do you get your seeds from?
Well, I got the seeds from on an online dealer who deals with organic and old seeds because I always was interested in very old seeds, not non-GMO ones. That's why I
Hmm.
got them. And also, I spent the same passion.
Hmm. Yeah, so as you can see, we can use also our network. And if you just start talking about gardening, you will soon find out how many of your friends are actually into it because it's like no chance of mistake here. If I hear that someone is talking about gardening, plants, and veggies, I'm on and I want to talk about. So you can also search around in your community also to learn some methods from more experienced gardeners. So, just to the basics. If you want to have your fruits earlier, it's good to, especially in like mild climates, it's good to prepare your own seedlings. So you can do it just with some seeds. You can check on the packages what is the best date to plant them in your area, and then you can use things like that. So it is like a specially designed kind of a pot with this special mini greenhouse on it, but you can easily replicate it using just a large plastic container or plastic bottle. Remember, we were talking about reusing and repurposing plastics in one of the episodes. So here you can see an idea, an inspiration, how to use these nasty plastics of yours. Instead of throwing it out, you can use it to grow your own food in it. And here you can see other example. It is a, let's say, a process on how to build rice beds. And have you ever tried rice beds, Roland?
No, 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 I never did that, but it looks amazing.
Yeah, so especially for more harsh environments, this rice bed technology or just method, it's very simple. So you are building these planters, let's say, out of some junk food or leftover or whatever, or even like reclaimed one from pellet wood, for example, you can build one. So you are just building like a frame directly on the ground, and then you use some old cardboard as a, let's say, an insulation, but actually it is used in order to block the sun from the deeper part of soil, because then you will have less unwanted plants there. And on top of that, you can just throw in some fresh green. You can throw in some leftovers gathered from just cutting your grass. And on that, you just use any soil you want mixed with compost, and you just prepared yourself a raised bed for planting. So here you can see I'm just it's from a previous year. I just built a couple of those around in my area, and I used it to plant courgettes and also pumpkin. And you can see only three little plants here on this one from the left. And yeah, and this is the last one finished with some herbs. And here you can see one of the pumpkins that are gathered from
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
this. So I will show you once again how small this planter was, and this was one of the pumpkins that I gathered out of that. And the size of this fruit is possible because here I could put up a lot of compost and a lot of organic matter. And also because of this planter to stood up above the ground, the soil is more warm and it is better for some plants, especially if your climate is pretty harsh or only mild. So then you need to just give them better conditions, let's say. So
Sounds really amazing. The outcome, incredible.
yeah, so it doesn't look complicated, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just build a frame without bottom, just a frame. So you can just use whatever. I could see people using, for example, borders made out of glass bottles. for example, or just pieces of wood without cutting it, just to raise the level of soil slightly above the ground. It makes it easier also to just care for it because it is just higher above the ground, and higher garden beds are recommended especially for people who have some disabilities or maybe find it hard to just bend so much to the ground. So you can just the plants will go halfway to meet you. So you can just use like a higher beds in order to have a comfort during caring for them. So this is one of the methods, and mm, another thing that you can just accelerate growth or of your plants without any chemicals, without any superficial fertilizers or other things, is just to use this greenhouse effect. So greenhouse effect is something that we are talking about when we are talking about carbon dioxide uh, footprint of human race, because the layer of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere is acting just as this glass in a greenhouse. So it lets the rays of the sun in, but it prevents them from escaping the atmosphere. And therefore, a lot of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere makes our atmosphere hotter. But we can use the same effect without carbon dioxide in our gardens. So here you can see my greenhouse. So it is quite large because I've opted for a sustainable option. So I wanted this greenhouse to feed my family throughout the summer. Therefore, this is quite a large construction, and I bought it online, and it just I just it was emailed almost emailed to me. It was brought by the carrier, and I just put it together with my colleague to the end result. So actually, I just built it from parts with the instruction. But you can also find out in the internet some other more, let's say, user-friendly constructions. And even if you cannot afford any of that, you can also use some old windows. Very often, if you walk around a construction sites, for example, you can find out, or you can just ask to and you can be given for free some old windows, or you can just use some piece of plastic foil. And yes, we are using plastic here because we are counting not only for one season, we are counting for more seasons, and we do not want to exchange this cover every year to create more waste. So it's better to opt for materials like plastic here, because thanks to that you will have something that will help you grow your own food for many years to come. So I'm using my greenhouse mainly for tomatoes and pepper. I also grow some cucumbers, and the because in Poland, in the part of Poland, Europe, that I'm living in, the climate is not very friendly. So we have a lot of frost and frostbites on our plants. That's why we need to use those greenhouse in order to make them more warm. But in other sides of the world, greenhouse is not needed because you have enough sun, and but sometimes you need to actually block the sun even because it is
Mm,
too much.
yeah,
And the
perfect.
last thing that I wish to talk about on that picture is actually, if you look at the soil here is almost totally covered. So I've used the grass that I cut from my lawn, and I've put it in between the plants on the soil to prevent it from overheating and
Mm.
also to prevent it from losing too much of the moisture during the day, because you can just imagine when the sun is up during the summer, it's pretty hot inside, so it is good for the environment to prevent this transpiration here and to prevent this water from evaporating from the soil. So you can use some green leftovers, some compost, some uh, wood chips, for example, in order to create a kind of a cover on the ground, and thanks to that you will have less unwanted growth, you will have more moisture, and also the organisms inside the soil will thank you because they are actually feeding on these organic matter, and they will dig your ground for you, and you do not need to ever dig in this kind of a setup.
I love this greenhouse. So when I settle down again, Marcin, back from my journeys, I also want to have a greenhouse. But this looks quite complicated to assemble it, but it's amazing. Looks amazing.
Yeah, it was. We spent like 7 days together with the husband of my sister, but we were very brave. And in case we didn't know how to do something, we just left it for a day or two and then came back again to figure it out. So yeah, it was a little bit complicated, but I saw in the internet a lot of greenhouses that are easier to put up, and this one I just wanted to invest in something solid because I am using it every year, and I plan to use it for the years to come. So that's why I have invested in this large building. But you can use whatever. You can even, I don't know, just choose opt for a piece of plastic foil, for example, and just stack some
Mm.
pieces of wood in order to build your own inspect or your own little greenhouse. So
Yeah,
it doesn't need to be expensive.
absolutely.
Mhm. When we are talking about growing your food in the countryside, it looks like we have a lot of options. So I know, Roland, that you are very into this permaculture. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Well, in permaculture, what is in permaculture, we grow everything together. So we find out, especially depending on which area you live, so you use special fruits or vegetables in the area where you live. So in the climate zone where you live, that makes absolutely sense. And then you design different parts in the ground you have available, whatever square meter, square feet you have, and then you mix it up. It's well, actually, it needs some training, some education, what fits together. And for example, what I would do first is I would firstly grow some trees in the beginning. Maybe you want to plant something that in shadow, so to grow some trees in the beginning, then some bushes, and then you really plant everything together. It's not just one row of tomatoes and one is peppers, all together. And depending on the plants who support each other and protect each other. And you also have a place where you just grow the grass and have some flowers for the bees and stuff like that. Or you also leave some area for wild animals when you have some wild animals outside. So I love permaculture because you don't use any fertilizer, any GMO stuff. So you do a lot of composting, of course. Using composting is a different topic, an interesting one, a lot of composting, and you grow different stuff together. It looks like, when you're a person like myself in the beginning, when you're very structured, you're structured and design and clearness, and you look at a permaculture and said, what is this? What the heck?
What a
nobody
mess!
cares, nobody cares about it. Yeah, everything is growing together. Doesn't Nobody cares about it. But this is nature. Nature always have been like this, and yeah. But to find out, just Google permaculture, find out more. It's really a lot of stuff to learn about it. Absolutely.
Mm, thank you, Roland. Yeah, I thought about it as well, but for me, I'm like a too much of a perfectionist. So for me, if something is not like just straight and somehow controlled, it is hard for me to watch. So even though I try to just give my plants enough freedom to grow wherever they want, I still like them to be in some kind of rows or things like that. So, but I saw that there are like different kinds of permaculture, and you can even plant something quite regularly, but just together with other species.
Mm,
For example, to prevent the plant from insects or some diseases.
absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Okay, guys, so that's enough for us farmers. And now, if you are living in the city, is that mean that you cannot grow your own food, Roland?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So even if you live in a city or even an apartment, or you don't have a garden or just a small garden with a small border, you also can grow food in different ways. I want to start with another picture. I can direct it as I just maybe
Yeah,
can I?
just let me know.
Yeah. Yeah, this one. No, one more. This one more. Okay. So, yeah, even if you don't have a huge garden, if you don't live in the countryside, for example, this was one when I had a bent house. In a suburban area. I had no garden at all, but I wanted to plant my own wedges, especially salads and different stuff. What I did is a kind of you did, Marcin, in the garden. I found a book from an American guy. It's called Square Foot Gardening. And I thought it's interesting. So you construct these wooden boxes, 1 meter per 1 meter, and divide it in 9 pieces. You structure, yeah, you have the structure again. So and what I did is, of course, I also installed the bottom. So it also had a wooden bottom. And I also installed wheels so I could move it on my terrace, because I use this one to grow my fruits and vegetables on my rooftop terrace at a 100 square meter. The rooftop terrace, a huge one with a jacuzzi, a nice view, anyway. So I built them, and because I had no trees there and no shadows, so I had to move them, because sometimes the wall gave shadow. So I put them. I had 4 wheels on each corner wheels, so I could move them around. And I love the structure. I love the idea about the concept of square from gardening. And this was my start, to be honest. This was my first start with gardening. Besides when I was a kid with my grandma, but as an adult, using this on terraces, and it gave me an idea about what I can plant, how much seedlings I need, that I get an outcome and stuff like that. So that's why I started. I had 2 of this square foot. So, and I had a lot of salad. I had a lot of different wedges I was growing there. And this was my beginning. The problem on that is when you want to move them, they're quite heavy. So because what I decided later, I got to move to another house. They're quite heavy with all the soil in and everything. But we made it, and we used it then in the other house in the garden. But we had the challenge that we had a lot of rabbits. So when we moved in this huge finca, we had hundreds of rabbits there. So we used this square foot garden beds and put in on top of a lot of bricks, so that's quite high, so that the rabbits couldn't jump on, and protected it, and we're growing a lot of stuff there. Also, we had a lot of pots where we grow just tomatoes. This was our beginning. And well, the point was, as you know, when you live in an area where, like in Poland or in Austria or in North America, when you don't live in the South, you only can grow and harvest. You only have one season most of the time. You cannot grow the whole year because you get frost. It's too cold. It's not working. And I was looking for a solution where I can grow the stuff the whole year. And I also was looking for a solution that I can grow also inside. Inside. And when you go back at the picture what you show first, and I was looking around different opportunities to grow inside, and I tried out different products from different companies. And with this this called vertical gardening. Actually, I came across with this because I was reading an article in an architecture magazine, by the way, and I saw in Singapore that they took vertical gardening on the sidewall of huge apartment buildings and grow vertical. I thought, well, that's an amazing idea. You don't need much space because, in a city you don't have much space. Why don't you grow veggies like this? And then with my research, I found some companies, different products, and I decided to go with one product because it worked best for me. It had a good price. A good price ratio. It was not too expensive, but it was really working well. And this is an indoor one. I had 2 for indoors and 2 for outdoors. And the difference is just for the indoors, like you see in this picture, you have a special lighting system that has the same impact on the plant like when the sun is shining. So really, when you have a dark apartment, when it's not a very sunny one or not a very bright one, then use these lamps, and you can also use it in the night and the whole year, when it's not so sunny, you can grow your stuff. What you see in the bottom, in the bottom, you just fill it with water. That's the water tank, more or less, and you have a water pump, so you need electricity, so you have a water pump. And with this kind of growing, with this vertical gardening, you don't use any soil, because the soil is here, because the soil nourishes the plant with the minerals. So you don't use any soil here. So you give the minerals, organic minerals, in a different ratio depending on the how do you call it? Depending on the water, the quality of the water you have, you put into this water. And I used a timer. So especially for example, when I used it in Spain outside, the timer was more often because it was hotter. So the pump was working more hours. In wintertime, when it was cooler and was inside it, the timer, I was pumping less. So inside this tower, the water pumps the water up and gives it to each plant. And what is not used goes back to the reservoir. So there's no water just wasted. And what I really loved with this idea, what I came out later, is because friends of mine in California said, hey, this is amazing. We have sometimes water restriction. We cannot water our garden and stuff like that. Or there are areas which in general have challenges with water because it's too dry. I found out with a lot of research that you use an average of 90% of less water when you use this system.
Wow.
Because no water is just, the water just goes to the root of the plants, and what is used goes down, it goes down. And after a while, depending how hot it is, of course, you have to refill the water tank, but you use 90% less of water. And that has an amazing impact on the environment, because we know when we grow food, we use a lot of water. So 90% less. It doesn't need a lot of space, and as maybe you can show the other picture. This one is outside on the terrace. You can use it, and this is another product that drives on a different company. This has this sticks outside. Was this really cool when you grow, large plant, and they can go around like tomato stuff like that. So you can use it inside or outside, and I absolutely love it because you need not much space. You need, as I said, much less water, and the stuff really grows amazingly. And you can use it privately, at home, inside, when you or in your house, outside. It also looks nice. Unfortunately, I didn't find a picture, but in the night when it's light, it really looks nice. It really looks nice. But you can also use it in a company. When you have a nice lobby, like entrance hotel, you can grow different fruits and vegetables, and your employees can take the tomatoes or the peppers or whatever when they have a lunch break. Or, for example, when you have a restaurant with show cooking, maybe you grow your herbs there, for example, for your clients, and they show that it's really fresh. Oh, for kindergarten, for schools, kids, they love it. They really love it, and they get some healthy snacks. Or what I did a lot is, especially, you mentioned your grandmom, and my grandma had a garden too, and she taught me a lot about gardening. And when she came to a residency, this where old people get in when she cannot live by herself in her own house, she missed the gardening. And it was a great opportunity to put one of these virtual gardening systems in her room, and she could garden there. She had a lot of fun. So there are many, many options. And also, my idea is, my vision with this is, when you have I don't know, when you're living in a building with a really huge rooftop terrace. So many rooftop terraces. But when I travel in Munich or in Barcelona and Madrid, and one of the, I see so many terraces, nothing there. Why don't you put a lot of this stuff on there? Grow your fruits and vegetables. You can share it with your community, or you can give it away to homeless people or to kindergarten. And you can also attract bees to come in. So there's a lot of opportunities with this new way. I would call it a new way of gardening. I became a huge fan of it. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you're interested in it, I learned a lot about vertical gardening. You can absolutely contact me. I can give you a lot of advice, and then I have a lot of experience. And I know many, many companies, and I know the good ones and the bad ones. And it's a really amazing opportunity to grow your own stuff, even on a small scale. When you have a small apartment, you don't use a lot of space. You don't need a lot of water, and it's not much work. You put the seedings in, let the seedings grow like you did. And then when the plant is like this, you put it in these different holes, water in, your organic fertilizer, timer on, you plug in, and that's all it is.
That's it. So it sounds like a quite comfortable way of just using the space that you are given, and yeah, I love it. I can imagine how it looks like during the night, for example. I bet it looks like this designer's lamp or something like that. So
Absolutely.
probably,
And I saw it in a company when I came in the lobby, and they had, I don't know, they had 10 or 12 of this, nicely lightened. You go in, you feel like a little bit in a jungle. It was really cool, really cool.
yeah, very nice. And also for these terraces that you mentioned, using some foliage, using living plants can act as an insulators as well, because then they will absorb the sun beams, and then they will turn it into our food, or at least a nice view, but without overheating the building. So it is a very good, let's say, composition of traits that we can use here. So just on top of that, just wish to add another building project. It is a very similar one, and it was a previous one. So I've started growing my food on a balcony for the time that I was living in Warsaw. So it's big city, and the balcony was the only thing that I had, but I wanted to have a garden so desperately that I've just built these planters. As you can see, this is my dog assisting on the work, and thanks to that, I had my own trees on the balcony. So here you can see some wild peaches because they were blooming beautifully on the spring, and you can see that I have a pine, a small pine here, and lots of different things. But this is how it looks like during the night. So as you can see, even if you have only the balcony, a terrace, or something like that, you still can turn it into a small garden. And here you can see some wild strawberries that I've planted here, and I've even had some fruits out of them, but sadly there was my friend visiting with her son, a little boy, 4 years old, and for some reason he wanted to spend his time on this balcony all the time, and then they need to go, and we just say goodbye. And after they left, we went together with my wife for the balcony to try those wild strawberries, and there was none. So the little guy just ate all of it. So I think this is a very good commercial for the things that you can grow even on your balcony. Yeah,
Kids love gardening. Absolutely. And
yeah,
you know what, Marcin? Even adults from this cities are, yeah. No, it's not me, dirty stuff. But once they started, invite them and you really dig in the soil, they immediately fall in love with it. Everyone starts smiling, gets relaxed.
yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah, and to remember the soothing effect of soil, and also
Mm.
for me, a very good meditation in the morning is when the greenhouse is already operating. So not yet, because it is too cold here. But when the greenhouse is already operating in the morning, I'm just grabbing my coffee and I go to the greenhouse. I'll pluck a weed here, or I will just help the plant here there, or I will, I don't know, pour some water there. And I just spend like 15 or even 5 minutes with my plants, and I'm really, really happy, and they smell gorgeous. And thanks to that, I have a big smile on my face when I go to work, even though I don't like it sometimes. So, yeah, it can be just your own little, let's say, sanctuary, right? Even if you have only one pot, you are a gardener. And
Absolutely.
just
Martin, I want to
to,
add something what
yeah,
you said,
yeah, yeah,
Martin. I remember when we did this in Mallorca, with this barefoot gardening and later with this vertical ones. It was interesting when, for example, when we prepared, my wife or my girlfriend prepared a salad, and she said, this is the tomatoes from the garden. I don't know why it's not only tastes different. You have been much more enjoying and much more joyful with the salad when it's your own one. Absolutely.
yeah, because you know exactly how much work you had to put
Yeah.
in order to get it. So just to recap the whole story, if you want to try gardening, you can try it even now. Just find out some leftovers, some scraps from your veggies. As you can see here, you can use those rooty part of leeks in order to grow another leek. So imagine you buy yourself only 3 leeks, let's say, and then you are using the most part of the plant, and then you can just replant these roots and have another one. So it's like free food, folks. Here on the slide you can see another species of veggies that you can easily grow out of scraps and leftovers. But I am sure that the list is even bigger. So just grab your phone and instead of scrolling today, try to scroll for growing your food inside of your homes. And I think we can call it an episode already because the time is running.
Yeah, absolutely. Marcin, thank you so much for your input. I really enjoyed it a lot. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope we could both inspire you to grow your own food. And no matter if you have access to your own garden, or you can participate in a gardener community, or you have a balcony or your terrace, or even inside, yeah, there is always an option. And by the way, if you're interested in this vertical gardenings, contact me on office@rolandfriedl.com. I can give you some really good advice on that. And for those of you, this products cost money, yeah, but the interesting stuff is you have the return on investment in less than a year when you compare it with the veggies you would buy in an organic market. So in less than a year, 8 to 9 months, you have return on investment. So you can really save a lot of money all this year. Martin, thanks a lot. And ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you too.
thanks for joining us. And if you want to contact us, please go to our website, contact@respectmother-earth.com. If you want to have a discussion on any topic, or if you want to come on a guest with a special project on the environment, or growing food, or composting, or save the planet, or save the whales, or whatever it is, contact us. You're more than welcome. Thanks a lot, Marcin. Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank
see
you.
you in 2 weeks again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. This is It's Your Healthy Lifestyle Show, hosted by the founder of this platform, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, and myself, Roland Friedl. How important is your health and fitness to you? We show you how you can easily eat healthier every day
how you can improve your fitness and recover much quicker after your exercises and workouts. Families will learn how to optimize their children's health and nutrition. And finally, you will also hear how you live a long, healthy and fit life into your old age. Join us here on It's Your Healthy Lifestyle.